Everyone, I'm Daksha, and you are watching Penning Down Success Season 2, Episode 4. With us today, we have Moses Kaur. He is an artist, guitarist, Stephens to being a composer. Moses, what was your story?
Jumping off of walls throughout my life, especially right after college, because I don't think I entered college with a very clear idea of what I wanted. And by the third year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So, right after, I was still figuring out. And I guess that's why whoever has the misfortune of going through my LinkedIn, which hasn't been updated in God knows like what 3 years, 4
Yes.
years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years now. So you see a lot of variety of things that I've done, and every single thing that I've done has contributed to where I am right now, and I really mean that. Um, it's I wouldn't be here if I hadn't taken that journey. So sometimes, you know, I guess people are susceptible to cribbing about loss of time or not doing things early on or not starting off, right after, I don't know, school or college. But I don't really agree with that. I feel there has to be there has to be a sense of journey to the entire thing before someone can really commit to the cause. I guess had I not done any of that, I would be very flaky doing this. I would constantly feel that, oh, maybe I should have worked for a little bit, or I don't know, maybe that's the better. But now that I've seen that side of life, um, I really enjoy this a lot more, and like really cherish it. Something very corporate right after college. Um, I didn't really, I wasn't as rigid and close-minded about other things.
Okay. You're a trained classical tabla player, Moses. Why don't you play tabla anymore? Why switch to guitar?
Oh, I do play the tabla. It's just that I guess I'm not um, as fluent in it as I was back when I was 8 or 9. It's just that I do play it, and more than me playing it, the tabla essentially was the first instrument I learned and I expressed through, right? Thing my parents ever did was put me in the tabla classes because that really helped. And if anybody is asking for advice on what instrument to put their kid first into, I would say something that's rhythmic, maybe like drums or tabla or congos, bongos, whatever, because that really helped. Once you get the rhythm down, then everything else sort of builds on it. Maybe if I hadn't learned the tabla, I would have terrible rhythm. I would probably, I don't know, make ambient music or something. I'm just kidding. No diss on ambient music. It's great.
As an artist, as a composer, you post a lot on social media as well. So, how do you think social media has created an impact in an artist's life?
Oh, I am the internet's child. I I wouldn't be here without the internet in any way, shape, or form. Every single opportunity I've gotten to every single opportunity that I've gotten and I'm getting to pursue the arts has been through the internet, has been through social media. And I can very confidently tell you that I do not post as much as I should. And I do not do as much as I should on the internet because it's a resource that's free and gives equal access to everybody. That's the main thing. And if someone doesn't exploit it enough or as much, then that's their loss. But well, someone who wants to really push themselves in that zone, you don't have to. I mean, there's no compulsion to do it. You can just like do it as a recreation thing. But um, I am an internet's I'm an internet's child essentially. I picked up the guitar and I learned guitar through the internet, through googling stuff, how to sweep pick into Google, and then I'd sit and then I'd just be hunched over my guitar learning that thing, right? Then through the internet, I got to know about music that I'd never heard before, and that I had absolutely no chance of ever knowing. You know, uh, so I mean, you don't get sets and CDs of so many artists, right? But I've heard so many artists through the internet, and I've fallen in love with them, and I've had relationships with them, and it's incredible. Imagine like something behind the screen is can get you to emotionally invest so much, is incredible, and that itself was um, such a motivating and a mark of encouragement for me to pursue the arts and find it feasible and viable to use the internet to make it a professional thing, if you want to call it that, right? And how did I start? I just started out by posting videos on my Instagram or on my YouTube, right? And from that, you sort of the momentum gets built, and then you attract people who have, again, similar approaches to life or similar outlooks, and then you collaborate and you work together, and then opportunities happen, and then sometimes things click, and then you move, and then you travel, and then you have great coffee in great cities, and um, it's amazing, it's lovely, but I think with with the internet and how quickly it changes, the most important thing for an artist to do, I guess, is if they're using the internet to really leverage themselves, is to be very open minded and be extremely flexible to change. I don't want to get too deep into the whole Spotify streaming debate, which tends to, not Spotify in general, but this is the streaming debate that tends to really hog the limelight when it comes to like artists not being given their fair share of monetary dues. But I think the only way to fight that is by being within the system and not being outside and fighting it. So I guess like even with putting music up on streaming platforms and putting up music on Bandcamp or any online portal that allows you to host your music on it, I think every artist should be present on all of these platforms so that your fans, if you want to call it that, can find you everywhere and anywhere, because there is so much content. There is so much content right now. It's it's like a sensory overload. It's like you people are overstimulated right now. So I guess the whole idea is to find the balance,
What
right?
for you is a very, 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 very short never have I ever session. Okay.
Oh wow. Wow, okay, great. I've never done this.
What you're supposed to do is if you have, I make a statement, if you have done it,
Right.
you take a sip of the coffee mug that you have. Never have I ever composed something based on my personal life and lied about it in public.
Oh, I've never.
Because you've never composed something that was inspired from something that happened in your personal life, and when asked about in public, you never lied about it.
I never lied about it. I have composed things about. I do tend to compose most things that happen to me, but I don't lie about it. I'm very open
See,
about it. I
okay.
compose about things like the weather and like this coffee that I'm drinking. I don't really compose about controversial and
Okay.
scandalous things.
Okay. 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 That's good. Never have I ever lied about knowing how to play a certain piece of music.
I have lied. So should I take a sip?
Yes, you should.
Okay, cool.
So, what was that piece of music if you would like to talk about it?
Oh, I like I don't know. I'd get togethers at parties. I don't like to be put in the spot like that. Like no offense to anybody. Like even like even right now, if you ask me to play something, I'd probably say no. I get a little yeah. I tend to get a little unsettled when I'm put in the spot. So yeah, like a lot of times I'll be at parties or like at a friend's get together, and they'd have a guitar or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, why don't you play like this thing that you played in this video you posted, and I'll be like, oops, I forgot it. Most of the times I have forgotten it, but I tend to lie about it because I don't want to. So
Okay.
that's really it.
Is never have I ever used the excuse that I cannot go out because I have to practice.
No, I'll never use that excuse.
Okay, you're a very good boy.
I mean, yeah, I've never used that excuse because I guess I've never been called out um, to go outside, and I usually go off my own accord. And actually, I really like going out before I sit down to practice or play. I get really, it jogs my mind a bit. Yeah.
All right. So the last never have I ever question for you. Never have I
No,
ever.
man, I want more. I want more of these never have I ever questions. It's so good, so interesting and fun. I love
Okay.
it.
Yeah, never have I ever wanted to abandon my music career. Like just a thought.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think I have a music career yet. So
Do
you have to have something to like abandon it, right? I don't have anything. So what am I going to abandon anywhere? So
very much
no,
modest here.
no, it's true. Like I, despite of the optics of what it looks like from the outside, uh, I can tell you sitting here that it's all a facade. Every single person, I'm talking about every single person, is winging it. No one has the answers. No one knows, no one, pardon my French, but no one knows their shit. We're all just trying to have fun. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I have no agenda. I'm having fun. I've, I let go of this thought of what it means to be an artist, what it means to be this and that. I've let it go. It feels a lot lighter to be here with that uh, sort of thought in mind, and that's how I'm keeping it. I'm just having fun.
What are your
That's all I can
upcoming
say.
projects?
Play for a band called Kraken, and we have an EP coming out. It's a 5-song EP. I am actually in the midst of tracking it, the final tracking. We're done with all the demoing and all the pre-production, um, which is what has been taking so much of my time right now. And yes, and after that, I'm also this is one project that I'm working on, which I'm very excited about because I've never done it before in my life, but I can't talk about it because I'm contractually bound to not open my mouth. So, but this is where I can sort of leave a bit of an Easter egg and tell you that I ventured into some sort of something to do with cinema, and once I'm at a position where I can talk about it, I will definitely post about it on my social medias, if you want to call it that. So that's happening. And apart from that, I'm working with a lot of artists and I'm producing for a lot of artists, which I'm really enjoying. Um, and I think the most important thing that's been happening now, though I don't suggest anybody to do it, is that I have a reason to get out of the house. Um, for the entirety of 2020, I was holed up.
What are the pros and cons of being an artist? How do you think India perceives the life of an artist to be, the sustainability? Or as you earlier told me, how do people, the career graph of an artist in India?
Again, it exists in extremes. But one thing essentially that is the core truth, and I feel everybody does think about it, including artists themselves. I would say people like me, if you want to call my, if I can take the liberty of calling myself an artist, is the the stability of it all. Can you earn from it? Can you earn from it enough to survive? Can you earn from it enough to to maintain the lifestyle that you've grown up in? Um, is it respectable? That's something a lot of people think about, or a lot of people have that perception that, oh, this is not respectable to do, you shouldn't do that or you shouldn't do this, um, all of that. Now the thing is that will never change, and I don't think that'll ever should be a thought in anybody's head if they're pursuing this, and if they want to really dive in, they can't let the rabble sort of rouse you in any way, you know. um, it's if you're very successful, everyone's like, wow, this is great, we love this person, look at them, they've achieved the pinnacle of success. And if you're not, and also I don't know how to define success, but whatever it means, then you get the brickbats of it, you know. "Oh, you wasted your life, you did that, you could have done this," and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think you can really think about that. I think it's a very detrimental thought for anybody to have, is what is everybody else saying. um, I guess, of course, it really helps if your close knit family or like someone, people around you that you really love, are supportive of you, which is superb. Uh, and I feel it really adds to you. Like, for example, my family, I'm very grateful, they're very supportive, and which is great. But you know, if unfortunately, if someone's family isn't, then that doesn't mean that they can't do what they want to do. You just have to be a little more headstrong, and you have to be really committed to the cause, right? Um, so that's, I guess, the perception of arts in India essentially is, uh, it exists in extremes. It's got a lot to do with the successes of it rather than the actual journey of it, right? So I don't really have a very poignant answer for that one. Now, coming to the career graph, let's be honest here. It depends on what are you creating essentially. If you are creating something that's niche, you cannot expect, or you shouldn't expect it to be as big as a commercial hit of whatever kind, whether it's a movie, whether it's a song, whether it's an album, you know, because when you create niche stuff, you are up sort of pandering to a niche audience that understands, or has the, faculties to understand that, or has developed the taste to understand that. For example, I know my guitar playing perhaps is like Mortine for a lot of people. They just like listen to it. I'm like, what the hell is this absolute travesty? And then just like move away from it, which I actually understand, and I kind of like agree to it. Like, to some extent, it is a bit of, uh, yeah, it is a bit confusing, but at the same time, I've I love to play what I play, and I've met people who really are invested in that form of music, right? Now the question that beckons is, do I leave this and go super mass and do something that I know is a formulaic way of achieving quote unquote traditional success? Or do I keep doing this and I put in the effort, I put in the years, and I consistently do it and see where it takes me? Because one thing I can say with a lot of certainty from people that I've spoken to who have really accomplished a lot in their respective fields is that consistency and quality is the key. So I personally also don't expect myself or anybody to just become an overnight success. It doesn't happen. Even the Beatles put in 10,000 hours of work became before they became the Beatles, right? They weren't an overnight success in any way. Yeah, success is, again, you can describe success however you want to. Like, do you think success is money? Do you think success is being good at what you're doing? Do you think success is internal satisfaction? I guess everyone will define it differently, but so yeah, I guess that's where what I think of it. It's just that it's so personal. It's so um, you can't. Nobody has the same idea of success, and also it really matters who you are. I mean, for one, I can say that, from come from a place of privilege, whether it's being able to do this in Delhi, or being born into the family that I'm born into, or the resources at my disposal, or even something as just the privilege of going to a certain kind of school, and the privilege of going to a certain kind of educational institution, and meeting the kind of people I have. Like these are all privileges that were afforded to me, right? Um, that also really contributes um, to being able to generate more opportunities. It's like that. It's like a feedback loop, essentially, right? Things feed into each other, and then it sort of grows. Um, I can say that to a certain extent, the arts in India is a rich person's indulgence. It is. It really is. And I know of so many extremely talented. I mean, not even you can literally see videos of them, like exceptional singers in villages. They're laying bricks, but they are singing songs note for note with all the expressions. But they can't really get out of their daily drudgery because I guess they don't have the privilege and the access to resources, or could be anything. And that's very heartbreaking because that's exceptional talent right there, you know? So I do always want to sort of shine light upon that fact as well, that I am perhaps, compared to someone in a not so privileged area, I'm perhaps average compared to that person. But I'm sure talking to you and I'm waxing eloquent about so many things because I've got that privilege and I've got that access. But maybe that the other person over there who doesn't have the access is a better person for you to talk to. So, but anyway, let's not make it so dark. And
Was absolutely wonderful to talk to you and listen to your opinion on so many different things. And thank you so much for your time, Azaz. It was lovely talking to you.
thanks, Daksha, for having me. It was incredible to sort of make sense of the garbled nonsense that exists in my head. And I hope your viewers don't find this too boring or too, you know, uh, jarring to understand. But I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope we can do this again sometime.